What's up, guys? FNL 47 here. Welcome to Watching for the Plot. Subscribe for more content coming your way. Hit that bell as well. So today we're reviewing a show called Why My Girlfriend Won't Visit. That's the translated version of the title that you're looking at here. And it is an NTR, but the best kind of NTR. The NTR with a refresh button, so you feel no pain lingering from episode to episode. Right? You don't feel like the character's suffering immensely because it just boom, universe reset, go back 2 weeks ago and we're at episode 2. Now, what I mean by this is basically there are a couple constants that do happen in this series, but those constants aren't enough to shatter the entire episode entirely to make it consistent from episode to episode. It's episodic, like an NCIS series. We have our boy Seiji and I. They're our main couple in the core of this entire episodic universe, and they are a ride or die couple. Seiji got into a car accident, motorcycle accident, my bad, motorcycle. He was a vroom vroom rough rider, and he's been in a cast, and every single episode he is in a cast. And I is a ride or die in all pun glory right there. Triple entendre, if you think about it. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna break down on why it's triple entendre. I'm gonna be fabulous explaining his absolutely simple bars because it's that phenomenal.
That Louis the 13th is like 150 a shot.
So, ride or die, triple entendre. Number one, she is staying with him despite him being a massive burden debt-wise on her already busy schedule, got school and a part-time job. Number two, they're literally writing and copulating during visiting hours. And number three, motorcycle accident. He was riding a motorcycle, so he crashed, and she was riding probably. And at this point, they're a happy, lovely dubby couple. And honestly, I'll be straight here. If that was a spin-off series of in itself, I would watch that. That'd be like a really cool, like, oh, what is the interaction going to be like? Oh, how is this going to happen? What's her part-time job? What's she thinking about? Really? What does she really think about this guy? I mean, that'd be kind of these type of shows really don't have a lot of that intention in mind. After they go at it multiple times, we come to find out that our boy Seiji isn't the most faithful person in the world. As a matter of fact, I don't know how this works at all, but the nurse that was tending to him while I was there was his ex-girlfriend, who he recently dumped. By recently, I mean, well, that was his last relationship type beat. And whenever I was around Shoko, the nurse named Shoko. So whenever I was around Shoko, she got a little suspicious because she noticed Seiji, her boyfriend, eyeing, ogling at Shoko. And then whenever confronted about it, Seiji be like, oh, I mean, hey, it is what it is. I don't really know her. But behind the scenes during the night shift, they're going at it. So already off the bat, we don't have to feel sorry for this man for what happens after this. Mainly, we really shouldn't be feeling sorry for him at all in this entire series for the most part, because he kind of sort of spurs on most of these revenge NTR tactics. Seiji decides to be the good guy. He's like, you know what? I can't be with you, Shoko. I have a girlfriend. I can't keep doing this. I'm going to leave you. Goodbye. Shoko's like, nope, not gonna happen. Smiley face or evil. Rubbing hand emoji, devil horns, and she has Shibuya, his patient next door, like there's a curtain divider. What is that called? Roommate? I don't know. She has him go at it with his girlfriend, while he was comatose, drugged by Shoko, and then Shoko go at it with him. It's just a continuous cycle of perpetual, non-stop NTR, fueling more NTR, fueling more cuckery that gets cycled from. It's just, I never thought of it that way. That's crazy. How you go from we can't be a couple anymore to I'm going to your girlfriend and then drug you, make you watch it, and then make her watch me copulate. Like, where does that come? I've never, unironically, I haven't watched a series that did that before. That was quite shocking, to say the least. That happens, right? That entire thing happens. And we're on episode 2. Wipe the slate clean, because I do that every single time I watch a series. With the sponsor of this. That'd be such a perfect segue. Anyway, second episode, we basically have, I would say more or less, the more realistic one up until the end. But even then, it's more realistic. No, we have a boy Seiji. girl, I. They're a couple, ride or die, triple entendre, stretch, but triple entendre, I'm gonna stick with it. Gonna find out we have more context of that accident. So they reset the world, however, they're rebuilding the accident itself. They're going on that. This man here had a car, and he came up to Seiji and said, hey, I'm gonna need you to pay 2 million yen in damages to fix my car, because this shit is insane. And of course, Seiji's like, I'm uninsured. Tomioko's like, sigh, get that fixed after the hospital, because I'm gonna come for my money. See you around. And he leaves. However, two things, right? Number one, Seiji, being a man in this very toxic masculine world, doesn't want to tell his girlfriend, who was doing most of the, breadwinning of the family, that he is massively in debt to a person in the hospital as well. So instead, he keeps that to himself. Whenever anything that surrounds the situation comes up, he obviously has to keep that secret as well, right? Like, let's say hypothetically, for example, Tomioko's wife came over there and co-played with him to aid him in his time of need, also because she was lusting for some action because she was in a dead relationship apparently. Then he can't tell anything about that because that involves the debt that he doesn't want to tell his girlfriend because toxic masculinity. So therefore, hey, he's almost forced to not tell her about the infidelity because if he does, he has to admit that he's massively in debt again. That just happened, by the way. At the end of that, I obviously sees that. She runs out, starts crying. You hear all around me are the lonely faces, sad faces, familiar faces song, whatever that is. And surprise, surprise, she runs into Yukino's husband, aka Tomiyoko, aka the guy with the expensive car, aka the guy who gave Seiji an invoice to pay him for the damages to his car. Tomioko's like, hey, what's up? Hop in my whip. You look cold. He brings Ai to his billion-trillion-dollar mansion, drugs her, calls her sister up, says, hello, I have your sister over here, come over. He drugs his sister as well. Finally kidnaps Seiji, has him bound and gagged in the wheelchair, and makes him watch both Ai, his girlfriend, and Ai's sister go at it with multiple people. And at the end of it all, at the end of the entire butler staff of Tomiyoko being satisfied, we have our boy here, Seiji, being like, it's all right, even after this, suggesting that he still has carnal lust after her despite being cucked to the nth degree. I guess it's because he views it as equal cheating in his eyes, even though it's really not, even though it is his fault that I was out there in the street in the middle of the rain to get picked up and drugged by him in the first place. I mean, you call it tomato, I call it tomato, whatever. Basically, who gives a care? Basically, who gives a crap? Because that's in that series, the whole show resets from episode 3. Episode 3 tends to skew more on Ai's point of view, right? What she thinks about this whole situation. What really is going on in her mindset about the job, about the accident, right? So we don't get introduced to Tomiyoko and Yukina. Well, we do, but not in the same way. We have here, again, the same couple, ride or die, triple entendre. I'm gonna keep saying that because it's 3 episodes, triple entendre. 3 times I mentioned it. I'm so good at this. We're in her mindset, right? She is now like, damn, pizza isn't gonna cover this debt anymore. I have to go up and beyond. So she goes and gets employed to a Hooters that is catering towards the sexual side. So basically a strip club with chicken tenders. At this strip club with chicken strips and tenders, she is offering her body for massive amounts of, tips. And at this point, she's going nonstop. She's garnering a massive amount of money. She's basically becoming a private escort on the side as well. And then out of nowhere, this random dude named Samatsu comes in her establishment, comes in her place of employment, and says, hey, what are you doing? You quit the pizza place to work here, you harlot? How dare you? And okay, so this guy, right? This guy was Ai's former workmate. Now, what happens is Ai breaks down and cries and tells her entire story to this man, and he turns around and just co-plays with her in the said establishment, the chicken place, tender strip club. But I'm looking at this, right? I'm like, 2 things. 1, either someone told you that Ai, your former workmate, was parlaying in this establishment and handing out her goods on a regular basis, and you happen to walk by her and you happen to confront her when she happened to come out and happened to greet a customer that came in, or, which is the side I'm leaning on, he was a regular that came in nonstop, and then he sees Ai in here, he's shocked, and he uses that shock to his advantage to manipulate her and get her goods to him. Now, regardless, what I'm trying to say is this guy's kind of bad. Kind of just a little bad. And at this point, he gave Ai her job back. And once that happened, they're copulating it again. And then they go at it again and again and again. And at this point, Tomotsu's like, hey, bro, listen, you're gonna dump Seiji or that's it. That's the only option. That's basically what he's telling her. And to make his ultimatum realistic, apparently, and as tragic as possible, what Ai decides to do to decide which one she wants to be with relationship wise. After she copulates with our boy Tomotsu over here, she goes back to Seiji while he's in the hospital bed for about a couple of days. In a cast, has lost weight under 6 foot, and isn't a 250 Chad with rippling muscles everywhere. And they go at it in the hospital bed. And then she's like, yeah, you didn't satisfy me enough. Goodbye, I'm leaving. See ya. And then she leaves, Seiji crying, bumping Marvin's room. It's almost like Juice WRLD saw this show and was like, I'll make a song about this. That's basically that. And that's the end of why she won't visit anymore. Get it? That's the pun. Now, this is a pretty good NTR in a sense where I said it's a refresh button, right? The whole point of NTR is to like drag out the context of the person getting cheated on nonstop. However, the context gets stale after a bit, right? Like if you know the whole bit and punchline is guy A thinks wife B is loyal, but in reality, wife B is with guy C and D. And if that's a continuous plot and plan for about 10, 12 episodes, then the whole point of it being invigorating is lost. Like it's just not there anymore. So to have it reset like it's some Steins Gate type beat is pretty refreshing. Now, mind you, this is all NTR, so it is going to have massive amounts of non-consensual coercion. Is that a phrase? I don't know. I just made it up. If that's not your thing, do not watch that. Don't watch any of these series unless it's wholesome. But even then, wholesome shows kind of are yikesy in general. But yeah, long story short, it was pretty good. All right, guys. I don't have an outro, but if I did, it wouldn't matter because it makes fun of the video. Good night. Also, I'm going to be training my voice to sound like this. So later on, when we have videos where my voice actually sounds like this, do not be alarmed because I've been training for it for the past week. So long and have an awful day.